66 sacks. One season. 4 defensive linemen who rang the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. The sack dance, the Gastineau Rule, the Mud Bowl. A roughing the passer call that still makes blood boil. The early 80s New York Jets. Defense so dominant they got their own nickname. A quarterback battle that defined the decade. Wide receivers you trade any current roster for. And a Mud Bowl loss to Miami that left an entire city wondering what could have been. You watched them live, not highlights, not YouTube clips with trap music. You saw Gastineau gyrating after sacks while Jackie Slater wanted to kill him. You saw the Orange Bowl turn into a swamp. You remember exactly where you were when Lance Mel picked off Jim Plunkett twice in 3 minutes. Some became millionaires. Others got their brains destroyed. One waited 36 years for the Hall of Fame call that should have come 3 decades earlier. And one died in 2024, the soldier of peace who held it all together. This is what happened to the New York Sack Exchange. Mark Gastineau, the second-round lightning bolt from East Central Oklahoma. Studio 54 brawl, drug possession, a year at Rikers Island, dementia eating his brain. But first, the sack dance that changed football forever. Week 4, 1983. After Gastineau's signature sack dance following a sack of Vince Ferragamo, Rams Pro Football Hall of Fame tackle Jackie Slater shoved him, triggering a brawl. 37 players were fined a total of $15,750. The NFL banned prolonged, excessive celebrations the next year. The Gastineau Rule. 1984. Despite the new rule banning his sack dance, Gastineau set an NFL record with 22 sacks in a single season. Proved it wasn't just showmanship. January 3rd, 1987. Jets led 20-10 in the fourth quarter against Cleveland. With the Browns facing 2nd and 24 from their 18, Gastineau was flagged for roughing the passer on Bernie Kosar. 15-yard penalty gave Cleveland a first down instead of 3rd and 24. Browns rallied to tie, then won 23-20 in double overtime. Most infamous penalty in Jets history. Gastineau was fined $2,500. His defense? He insisted he was just following through. After football, Gastineau boxed professionally, 18 fights from 1991 to 1996, finishing 15-2 and won no decision. His final bout came in Japan, a TKO loss to former Oilers running back Alonzo Highsmith. Then the brain started failing. In January 2017, Gastineau revealed, "When my results came back, I had dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's." But even as his memory fades, one thing remains crystal clear. He believes he is the rightful owner of the sack record. In 2001, Michael Strahan broke Gastineau's mark with 22.5 sacks. But he did it after Brett Favre appeared to slide and give himself up, a move many still call the dive. For 24 years, Gastineau has called that record a gift, not a feat. It's why, in March 2025, he filed a $25 million lawsuit against ESPN and NFL Films. He claims they maliciously edited a confrontation between him and Favre to make him look like a bitter old man, when in reality, he was just defending the integrity of the game he gave his brain to. Now, as Gastineau watches from the sidelines, history is repeating itself. TJ Watt tied the Strahan mark in 2021, and as we speak, Myles Garrett is sitting at 21.5 sacks with 3 games left in the 2025 season. The record Gastineau bled for is about to be shattered for real this time. No slides, no dives, just pure dominance. Today at 69, faith-based recovery advocate battling multiple health conditions. The man who danced after every sack can barely remember the dance, but he'll never forget who earned those 22 sacks. Joe Klecko. Found in the 6th round out of Temple, rare among defenders, Pro Bowl selections at all 3 defensive line positions, defensive end, defensive tackle, nose tackle. Klecko didn't need to dance because the numbers spoke for themselves. 20.5 sacks in 1981. Hall of Fame tackle Joe DeLamielleure said it best. If Joe Klecko had played one position for 10 years, he'd have been considered one of the top 2 or 3 players at that position. whichever one it was. He added, "You take a defensive end and put him at nose tackle, and he's just as good there. That's a great player." Here's the thing. Klecko should have been a first-ballot Hall of Famer. Instead, 36 years after his final game, he finally got the call in 2023. At his Pro Football Hall of Fame induction, Marty Lyons presented him. Klecko revealed, "This speech has been in my drawer since 1993, 30 years. 30 years waiting to read words he wrote when the snub was still fresh." After football, Klecko sells metal stairs in the tri-state area. Construction company representative who built his own home in a large building for Trinity Solar. Member of Catholic Athletes for Christ, speaks on manhood and faith. Appeared on EWTN. Today at 72, construction business, faith speaker, Hall of Fame member who finally got what he earned in 2023. The speech sat in a drawer for 3 decades. The respect took even longer. Marty Lyons, the first-round anchor from Alabama. Walter Payton Man of the Year, the defensive end whose personal tragedy became 8,700 wishes for dying children. March 1982. In the span of just 1 week, Marty Lyons experienced the full spectrum of the human condition. On March 4th, his first son, Rocky, was born. His father, Leo, was preparing to fly to New York to meet his new grandson for the first time, but he never made the flight. On March 8th, Leo died suddenly of a heart attack at age 58. While at the wake for his father, Lyons received one more devastating blow. His little brother, Keith, a 5-year-old he had mentored through the Big Brothers program, had finally lost his battle with leukemia. Most men would have collapsed under that weight. Lyons? He decided that if he couldn't save his father or his friend, he would save the dreams of every other child facing the end. He started the Marty Lyons Foundation that same year. Since then, he has raised over $44 million, granting over 8,700 wishes across 13 states. Today at 68, Jets ambassador. The foundation work continues. He's the defensive end who turned a week of unbearable grief into a lifetime of grace, proving that a legacy isn't just about how you rush the passer, but how you show up for your brothers. Abdul Salaam, drafted in the 7th round in 1976, born Larry Falk, the quiet philosopher who nobody talks about but everybody needed. Converted to Islam in 1977 and took the name Abdul Salaam, meaning soldier of peace. Defensive tackle who provided the spiritual anchor while Gastineau provided the spectacle. The quietest of the 4, also the most important. After football, police officer and football coach in Cincinnati. Battled diabetes, used a wheelchair in recent years. Known as the quiet philosopher among teammates. The spiritual leader who anchored the legendary pass rush unit. October 8, 2024. Abdul Salaam died at 71 from diabetes complications. Mark Gastineau's tribute said everything. "If it wasn't for Abdul, I wouldn't have made it. He helped me through everything." Marty Lyons added, "He was well respected in the locker room, loved by his teammates. His name said it all, soldier of peace. He was so soft-spoken, but he was a big part of what we accomplished. The soldier of peace who held together the most violent defensive line in football. Gastineau danced, Klecko dominated, Lyons led, but Salaam, he kept them all from falling apart." Remember the first time you saw the sack dance? When Gastineau made celebrating a penalty? Drop a comment. Which defender did you love to hate? Walt Michaels, the defensive mastermind who built the sack exchange, then got within 1 game of the Super Bowl before it all went up in smoke. January 15, 1983. Michaels reached his peak. The Jets defeated the Raiders in the AFC Divisional Playoff after Lance Mell's legendary 2-interception performance. It was the first time the Jets felt like Super Bowl contenders since the days of Joe Namath. Then came January 23rd, the Mud Bowl. To his dying day, Michaels believed he was cheated. He accused Dolphins coach Don Shula of deliberately leaving the Orange Bowl field uncovered during a tropical storm to neutralize the Jets' speed. The quagmire worked exactly as Michaels feared. Freeman McNeil, the NFL's leading rusher that year, was held to a soul-crushing 46 yards on 17 carries. The Jets' high-powered offense was stuck in the silt, and Michael's dream of a title vanished in the rain. The fallout was bizarre. Just 17 days after being one win away from the Super Bowl, Michaels mysteriously resigned. Reports suggested the team president encouraged him to seek treatment for alcohol abuse, offering a $400,000 severance package. He spent 2 years coaching the USFL's New Jersey Generals, but he never paced an NFL sideline again. Michaels died on July 10, 2019, at 89 years old. The man who built the greatest defensive line in Jets history never got his Super Bowl ring, and he never stopped believing that Don Shula left that field uncovered on purpose. Joe Walton, offensive coordinator in '81 and '82, then took over as head coach after Walt Michaels' mysterious resignation. Lasted 7 seasons at the helm, 1983 through 1989, before the fans ran him out of town. Second longest tenured Jets coach at 111 games. Developed Ken O'Brien into a legitimate NFL quarterback who outdueled Dan Marino. But his legacy in New York was ultimately stained by the 1986 playoffs, the Gastineau game. Walton had the Browns on the ropes, leading by 10 in the fourth quarter, only to watch a single roughing the passer penalty breathe life into Cleveland. The Browns rallied, the Jets collapsed in double overtime, and Walton's momentum never truly recovered. By 1989, the honeymoon was long over, and Jets fans were chanting, "Joe must go." Walton was fired after the season. Spent 2 seasons as offensive coordinator with the Steelers under Chuck Noll. Then, he did the impossible. He built Robert Morris University's football program from scratch. From 1993 to 2013, he turned a non-existent program into a powerhouse, winning 3 outright NEC titles and back-to-back mid-major national championships. He even led them to a perfect season in 2000 and was named NEC Coach of the Year 4 times. The program went from a startup to an FCS playoff contender. Ken O'Brien's tribute after Walton's death said it all. Joe was first and foremost a great family man. The way he treated the team was just a family atmosphere. On August 15, 2021, Walton died at 85. The offensive innovator who got chased out of New York rebuilt a college program from nothing. Sometimes the best coaching happens after the stadium empties. Ken O'Brien, 5th quarterback in the famed 1983 draft class. First Jets quarterback to finish with the lowest interception rate in the NFL. The guy everyone said was a mistake until he proved them wrong. September 21, 1986. Jets defeated Dolphins 51-45 in overtime. Dan Marino threw for 448 yards and 6 touchdowns. O'Brien, 479 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception, the best game of his career. One of the greatest offensive games in NFL history. O'Brien knew what Jets fans thought when he was drafted. He understood their reaction. Who blames the fans, right? Who, in New York, has heard of Cal, University of California, Davis? Nobody. I'm not sure I would have reacted any differently. Heck, some of my cousins grew up as Jets fans. They were probably doing the same thing. After football, quarterback coach at alma mater UC Davis, then USC where he developed Heisman winner Carson Palmer. Partner at IWP Wealth Management in Manhattan Beach, California, where he quarterbacks clients' family wealth. Guest on TV show Home Improvement. Lives in California with wife Stacy, inducted into College Football Hall of Fame in 1997. Today at 65, wealth management, golf, hunting, family. The quarterback who nobody in New York had heard of became the guy who outdueled Dan Marino in the greatest shootout you ever watched. 479 yards when it mattered most. Wesley Walker, the second-round burner from Cal who redefined what was possible. Most wide receivers with perfect vision don't last 13 seasons. Wesley Walker did it while being legally blind in his left eye. He was born with a congenital cataract that left him with virtually no sight in that eye. Remarkably, the Jets didn't even know it when they drafted him. When he showed up for his post-draft physical and was asked to read the eye chart, he couldn't even see the E. He had actually memorized eye charts in the past just to get by, but this time, he was caught. By then, it was too late. He was already the fastest man on the roster. Most scouts said a one-eyed receiver could never track a deep ball. But on September 21st, 1986, Walker made them all look foolish. In that legendary 51-45 shootout against Dan Marino, Walker saw everything. He hauled in 4 touchdowns, including the game tire at the buzzer and the 43-yard winner in overtime. Today at 70, a retired physical education teacher and motivational speaker who uses his story to show kids that handicaps are only limits if you let them be. In August 2026, he'll release his memoir, Wide Open, co-authored with Gary Kashak. He's the deep threat who saw a Hall of Fame career coming, even when he could only see half the field. Al Toon, 3-time Pro Bowler who led the NFL in receptions, Jets Ring of Honor inductee, then 9 concussions ended everything. An unnamed source captured his legacy perfectly. He probably should go down in history as one of the best wide receivers to ever play for the Jets. There weren't too many better than Al Toon playing anywhere in the NFL. November 1992, forced to retire after 9 career concussions, 5 in the last 6 seasons. Diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome. Toon's own words, "I've had 9 concussions in 8 years. Doctors told me another hit could be devastating. I had to retire." After football, competed in a triathlon in 2004, showing remarkable recovery. Founded Capital Bank, board member. Started 8 companies in commercial real estate. Owns Taco Bell, Burger King, and Hilton Garden Inn franchises. Co-owns the largest landscape company in the Midwest, Olson Toon Landscaping. Board member for National Guardian Life Insurance and the Green Bay Packers. Toon's son Nick broke his Wisconsin records. Drafted by the Saints in 2012, played 4 NFL seasons. Today at 62, business mogul in Madison, Wisconsin. The receiver who was told another hit could be devastating walked away and built an empire. Capital Bank, commercial real estate, fast food franchises, landscape companies, insurance boards. The man who lost his career to head trauma won everything else. Freeman McNeil, Jets' all-time leading rusher with 8,074 yards when he retired. Key plaintiff in the NFL free agency lawsuit. Member of the Jets' Ring of Honor who changed labor relations forever. January 1983. It wasn't just a playoff run, it was a rampage. In the wild card round against the Bengals, McNeil erupted for 202 yards on just 21 carries, setting an NFL playoff record. He kept the fire burning the very next week, pounding the Raiders for over 100 yards to carry the Jets to the AFC Championship. But then, they hit the infamous Mud Bowl in Miami. The swampy field neutralized his speed, and that messy loss ended his chance at a Super Bowl. McNeil never got to show what he could do on the biggest stage. Jets Ring of Honor inductee in 2011. But here's the thing. McNeil became the lead plaintiff in a landmark 1992 lawsuit that struck down the NFL's Plan B free agency system. Considered a major step in achieving player free agency rights, changed NFL labor relations forever. Today at 66, retired, private life. The running back became the man who freed every player who came after him, from rushing leader to civil rights pioneer. Marvin Powell, sunglasses indoors, law school textbooks in his locker, 5-time Pro Bowler who went to law school during the offseason and became NFLPA president. Named Team MVP in 1979, rare among offensive linemen. Protected quarterbacks while studying law at New York Law School, earning his JD in 1987 after working 6 off-seasons on the degree. Interned at the New York Stock Exchange. After football, joined Rosenfeld, Meyer & Sussman law firm in Beverly Hills in 1991. Jets player rep who became vice president, then president of the NFLPA for 2 years. Fought for the players who came after him. Powell's son Marvin III played fullback at USC from 1995 to 1998, then suited up for the Saints, Packers, and Broncos. September 30th, 2022. Marvin Powell died at 67 in Tampa, Florida, from heart failure. The offensive tackle who protected quarterbacks for over a decade became the lawyer who protected players' rights. Earned a law degree while playing professional football. Became NFLPA president. The guy who blocked defensive ends learned how to block injustice. Joe Fields, two-time Pro Bowler who co-authored a book about surviving the trenches. Center who protected quarterbacks and opened holes for running backs through the early 80s. Today, at 72, Director of Contractor Services for a New Jersey patio and stonework company. Traded helmet for hard hat. Still building foundations, just different ones. Lance Mel, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left. 2 interceptions of Raiders quarterback Jim Plunkett in the final 3 minutes. January 15, 1983, sending the Jets within 1 game of the Super Bowl. Pro Bowl selection in 1985. Father of 4 sons, Lance Jr., Lucas, Richard, Lane. Once worked in Ohio coal mines before football. From the mines to the NFL, that's the kind of toughness the 80s required. After football, juvenile detention court officer, helping troubled youth after career ended due to knee pain. The linebacker who intercepted Hall of Fame quarterbacks spent his post-career intercepting troubled kids before they ruined their lives. Today, at 67, retired. The coal miner who became a Pro Bowler, who became a juvenile detention officer. 3 careers, 1 thread. Hard work and helping people who needed it. Some guys get remembered for stats. Mel gets remembered for 2 interceptions in 3 minutes that sent the Jets to the championship game. Richard Todd, the first-round draft pick tasked with the impossible, replacing Joe Namath. Known for high interception seasons and 1 game in the Florida rain that haunts Jets history forever. During the Mud Bowl, while Walt Michaels was screaming about the uncovered field, Richard Todd was living a nightmare on it. He threw 5 interceptions that day, 3 of them to Dolphins linebacker A.J. Dewey alone. One was a 35-yard pick six in the 4th quarter that sealed the Jets' fate in a 14-0 shutout. In the eyes of the fans, those turnovers in the swamp defined him. He was the talented kid who couldn't win the big one when the field got dirty. But if his football career ended in the mud, his second act was pure gold. After football, Todd headed to Wall Street, proving he had a championship mind for finance. He spent 23 years as an investment banker at Bear Stearns, navigating the firm's collapse in 2008, followed by over a decade at J.P. Morgan. He continued his ascent as an executive director at Oppenheimer and is currently managing wealth with Raymond James. Today at 72, the quarterback who struggled to find his receivers in that swamp game has spent decades successfully managing millions for the world's elite. 5 picks might have cost him a Super Bowl, but his intelligence and resilience gave him everything else. Sometimes your worst game defines your past, but what you do after defines your life. 4 defensive linemen, 1 nickname. They made defense entertainment, made it a brand, made it unforgettable. Then came the endings. One waited 30 years for a Hall of Fame speech he wrote in 1993. Another battles dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's from the hits he celebrated with a dance. The quiet philosopher died October 2024 at 71. Diabetes complications after years in a wheelchair. And the 4th became a Jets ambassador after granting over 8,000 wishes to terminally ill children and raising over $44 million. Walt Michaels resigned mysteriously 17 days after the Mud Bowl and died believing Don Shula left the field uncovered on purpose. His replacement got chased out of New York with Joe Must Go chants, then built a college program from scratch. Ken O'Brien outdueled Dan Marino with 479 yards, now manages wealth in California. The legally blind receiver who terrorized defenses became a teacher. The receiver who suffered 9 concussions in 8 years owns commercial real estate and fast food franchises across Wisconsin. The running back who led the Jets in rushing became the lead plaintiff who freed every NFL player who came after him. Some got rich, some got broken, and one, the soldier of peace, held them all together until diabetes took him last October. If you watch these guys live, not on YouTube highlights, you already know. Hit subscribe. If you enjoyed this one, you're going to love the video on your screen right now. What was the greatest defensive line nickname in NFL history? The Steel Curtain? The Purple People Eaters? The Monsters of the Midway? Or that legendary Jets front four? Let us know in the comments.